Welcome back for a new episode of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find comics, those things you just don't see up on the wall at your LCS. You got to do some legwork, you got to hunt, you got to track, and in a lot of cases, you got to get lucky in finding some of these books because there's just not a lot out there. Hopefully, you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. We have surpassed 2,500 subscribers, so we will be doing a giveaway very, very shortly. I'm still working out the details now. More details on that to come. But we're not stopping there. We're not stopping there. We're going to keep going and keep growing as best we can. So hopefully you're on board with continuing this process with us. I'm still having a heck of a lot of fun going through this stuff, so hopefully you are enjoying the ride as well. With that all said, I got another pile of some tough books to go over this week. So if you want what I got for you, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro. I will be right back. All right, so this week I got another pile of, I think, a lot of 1 in 50s and some other stuff. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, we know we're getting Born Again coming soon. They're filming it now. We're getting details trickling out about who's going to show up where and what and all of that and storylines. But regardless, let's just go dip our toe into the Daredevil for a minute and take a look at Elektra. Elektra #1. This is a 1 in 50. Variant. This is by Bill Sienkiewicz, and this was from February 2017. These next couple of books are all from the same month. They're all #1s. They all have Bill Sienkiewicz covers. So we're going to start with Elektra. Start with Elektra here. Pretty cool. A little bit different. It brings it harkens back to some of his older stuff, but I kind of like the portrait, kind of the background, and you got the layout, the different layers. I kind of dig this. But this 1 in 50 had an estimated print run for the regular issue of about 44,000, a little over that. So our incentive is maybe just under 900 at about 886. Again, these are estimated numbers. These are not set in stone. These are not concrete. It's just the best information we have using the estimated print runs off of Comic-Con, and then we do that basic ratio math, divide that 44,000 by 50, and this is what we get. So just to give you a sense of where this information is coming from, just like the CGC census. That's where this next info is coming from. And the census only has 42 copies of this book graded. We have 2898s, 896s, and then a few others. This book, in the last 3 months, only had one sale that I could find off of eBay. And that sale was for a 98 SS that had one bid, and it was only $75. I don't know how many times to tell you, don't auction these books if you have them. Do buy it now and field some offers. This could happen to you. If nobody's looking, you're not going to get there's not going to be a fight. There's not going to be bidding. If only one person's looking, you're going to put one bid down, they're going to win. So could have been the case of what happened here. But then again, not certain if the actual final settle price, because if there was a best offer accepted here, this is how eBay would show it. Again, I didn't dig that deep into it. That's not the point of this. It's just to give you broad strokes examples of some information of the market and give you a sense that, look, not a lot of these sell. But there are a few of these on the market. I got 3 for you here, but there's a few more than what I've got listed. And we got examples, all raw in this case, from $70 to $75 to about $85. So all above ratio, but all still relatively affordable when you think about it. And there's options. So they accept some offers. You can make some offers. That's where the market is on this particular one. This next one, I'm pretty sure I picked this up at a con last season. I think this is what I picked up. One of the books I picked up when I was at King Con, not this recent one, but the one before, way back in the fall. But that is another 1 in 50, and it's another Bill Sienkiewicz cover. This time it's Bullseye, also a #1. I really like this cover. I thought it was cool. I love the playing card. I just thought it was cool. So it struck me. So that's why I got it. And I got it for a decent price. Well under ratio. That said, this particular, again, 1 in 50 Bill Sienkiewicz, also from February 2017. Had a print run a little bit less. Only about 33,500 or so on this one as compared to the Elektra book. So the incentive in this case could be as low as 670 as opposed to that 890 or 880 we had before. So a few less issues on this one, potentially. Again, estimated numbers. But when we look in the CGC census, we see, well, that story kind of tracks, except for the fact there's 46. So there's actually a couple more of this, but I think it's because it's a little bit of a better cover. 33 9/8, 11 9/6s, and then a couple others. In either case, we're talking about in the 40s. It's not a big difference between the two as far as graded copies go. Still not a lot of the population graded when you think about it. That said, we also only had a single sale over the last 3 months, and it was also raw, but this one had some action. 16 bids got this one up to 64 bucks. Not terrible. This was back in January, too, so it's a little aged, but still a lot of back and forth probably to get this one up to that 64. And if you were out there shopping for one of these, you do have options because once again, here's a couple of examples, but there are a few more than what I list here. Just want to give you some idea. 75 to 100 bucks raw, $300 for a 9/8 seems to be the going rate for this one if you were in the market. Well above ratio, like double ratio, and in the case of the 9/8, you're talking about 6 times ratio. So not bad return on investment if you got this one. In our final book, again, we don't know if either of these two characters are going to show up in Daredevil Born Again, but we do know the next one is, and that is Kingpin. Kingpin #1 from February 2017. Also a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. Also a 1 in 50. Pretty cool. There's also a 1 in 25 of this one as well. I think there's 1 in 25s for the others too, but I just know the 1 in 25 because I think I have the 1 in 25 of this book, but I don't believe I have this 1 in 50. Once again, pretty cool cover. You got the simple black, white, red, those 3 colorway going. Kind of like it. Print runs closer to the Elektra in this case, I think. Well, actually, no, it's in between. So we're looking at about 36,000. So our incentive here is only about 720. So a little bit more than the Bullseye, but still a little less than the Elektra. In the CGC census, we got 37. So once again, kind of around that 40 mark with 18 9/8s and 13 9/6s. So a little bit more of an even split here as opposed to the other two books as far as 9/8 to 9/6 goes. Just interesting. Could be because of the cover, the black cover, but then again, the Elektra had a black cover. So I got no explanations for you. Just guesses. Unlike the other two, we did have 2 sales. We had 2 sales in the last 3 months. 50 bucks raw, and then it looks like a 9/6 had 3 bids and got it to 45 bucks, basically. So once again, not a lot of action on these auctions. 3 bids, 45 bucks. That's not much over a grading cost. It costs you like 30 bucks to grade a book these days when you factor in all the shipping to and from, insurance and fees and taxes, all that stuff. It's not cheap to grade a book, so 45 bucks is not a great return for a 1 in 50. So, just saying, unfortunately for that seller, they didn't get... Well, then again, I don't know what they paid for it. Don't know what they paid for it, so it could have been a decent return for them. I don't want to speak out of turn. It does... Optics doesn't look great, especially when there was a raw that sold for more than it. Just saying. If you were shopping for one, I found 4. So there were a few out there. I found 4. We got a 9/8 for 250. We got a 9/8 for 325. We got a SS 9/8 looking at 325, and then another 9/8 from CBCS looking for $245. So 250 at least graded for 9/8, and they are all happen to be 9/8s, and they all happen to be graded. There were no raws out there. So another interesting note, I think, for this. And considering there weren't a lot in the census as far as 9/8 goes, a few of them are on the market. So interesting, right? Okay. That's our little Daredevil little nook. We're going to move off these Bill Sienkiewicz covers, and we're going to move over to Stephanie Hans for just a quick minute. And the first one is, I thought it was interesting going back to some of these hot books. Remember when Riri was all the rage? Everybody's investing in Riri, all of these Ironheart, all of these Iron Man incentives, money getting thrown around. Let's see where we're at now. This is Ironheart #1, Stephanie Hans cover from November 2018. Only a few years ago, right? Where are we at here with this one? Print run of about 40,000. Our incentive is a little over 800. Not a ton, but not a tiny number either. In the CGC census, we're looking at a solid 142 copies with 107 9/8s, 18 9/6s, and then a few others, right? 107 9/8s. That's not a small number for a high ratio incentive. Just saying. Market. Well, the copies selling these days aren't where they were. Let's just put it out there. 9/8 accepted a best offer on $216. 9/8, 8 bids got it to only $162. A raw copy, only got one bid, ended at $89. This book was, I think it hit a couple $100 raw at one point. This was just, it was the flavor of the month. It was the book everybody was rushing towards. Next great big thing. It's kind of cooled since then. So hopefully you didn't lose your shirt on this book. But there's where the market is right now as far as sales go. And if you were in the market to go and buy one now because the market is down, well, I don't know if the market's completely down, because here we go. Here's some examples. Once again, there's options, and there's more than what I've got for you here. So there are plenty of these out there for you to go shopping. But what we're looking at now, people are still looking for those old prices. For the most part, those old day prices are what they're looking for. With some raws looking for $225, $145 for a 9.4, 9.8 looking for at least $300. A little more reasonable, but you saw what things were actually selling for, and this is where the asks are. So prices seem to be in flux right now. Maybe it's now not the time to go and play in this yard. See where this thing settles before you go and make a move. If you were shopping, is my suggestion. That said, I find it interesting. I find it interesting when these one-time hot books get forgotten about. And this is what happens. Books get forgotten about, and no one's talking about them anymore. Things like this occur, and the market softens, because why was it hot in the first place? Was it just because people were talking about it? Was it FOMO? What was it? I don't know. That's for you to decide. I'm just showing you information. You make the call of what you think happened, because, it's all speculation anyway, right? That said, we had another Stephanie Hans book from this era that also heated up pretty good at one time. And that was this XMen Blue number 21. Again, Stephanie Hans, 150, February 2018. So the same year. This was earlier in the year, so this was before the Ironheart book. So this one kind of popped first. Reminds me of that Daredevil book, the Daredevil Venom book from way back in the day. Very similar kind of layout. Gorgeous colors here. Gorgeous cover. Print run, about the same as the other one, in the sense that it's 39,000, so the incentive is close to 800. So it's pretty close to the Ironheart as well. Graded copies, also pretty close, in the sense we got 137 in the census, with 109 9.8s, 19 9.6s, and then a few others. So once again, over 100 9.8s for this 1 in 50 incentive, because it was a book people knew. If people got it, they got it graded because they wanted to get that premium. They wanted to get that extra few bucks. But where's the market now? Well, again, is not where it once was. This was once again another book that was hitting a couple $100 back in the day. Raw, I'm talking about. Like, this was like 150 easy raw, hitting $200 raw. From what I remember, now a 9.8 could get you $235, and then a raw copy's only fetching $71. That's just a little over ratio. I mean, this is a 1 in 50. It's 2 bids to $71. It's not quite where it once was. Doesn't have the sway that it used to have in the market. But if you wanted to go shopping, once again, where's the market at on this? Are there copies to be had? Yeah, you're in luck, because again, this is the book people knew about, people have known about, people have graded, they've invested in, they've speculated in it, and now this is the fruits of all of that labor. Copies are on the market. More than what I'm sharing here. Only a few to give you some examples, but they still are looking for $150 raw. Then there are a couple more reasonable 9.8s looking for $200 for a CGC98, and the CBCS 98 only wants 170. So that asking price has come way down from where this once was. I don't know, this is like $400 for a 9.8, I think, at one point. I don't think I'm imagining things. Granted, I'm just going off of memory. We can do the research to check it. But from what I remember, I do remember this being an expensive book because I liked it, and I was like, I'm not paying those prices. I'm sitting out. I'm glad I did, because here we are now. That said, there's our Hans books. But we're not going to leave XMen Blue out in the cold, because we do have one more XMen Blue cover to do, and that's the next one in the run. Issue 22 has a David Nakayama cover. I'm a David Nakayama fan. I dig this cover. I don't love it, but I like it. This is also a 1 in 50 from that time. This Venom crossover they had with the X-Men, February 2018. So right in that same wheelhouse, same month as the last one. But this one never reached those heights of the Hans. Print run was a little lower, about 35,000. So the incentive is only about 700. So we're looking at a little bit less there. Not as many people grading this one, though. Only 24 total in the census, as opposed to the 100 plus 9.8s of that Hans 21. Issue 22's only got 19 9.8s. and then a pair of 9.6s, and then a couple of others rounding out that 24 number. We also didn't have any sales the last 3 months, so no one has bought this book. Again, this isn't anything on anybody's radar. Nobody's talking about this book. Nobody's looking at this book. I just figured, hey, let's take a look back at some of this stuff and see where we're at now. Because not everything has to be driven by news or things in the comics. It's just, hey, let's just take a look back. I mean, 5 years later, what's going down? The prices. That's what's going down. Available copies? Yes, there are copies available, and more than the 4 I'm showing you here. And the 4 I'm showing you here, looking for about 50 to 70 raw, 180, 125 for those 9.8s. So raw, 50 to 70, 9.8s, 125 to 180. Seems like almost any other 1 in 50 type variant that's got a little bit of interest in it. Nothing special about the prices on this one anymore. This is not one of those elite books. Not that I said this one was ever one of the elite books. As I mentioned, this one was always under the Hans, but there's less copies. Still a popular artist. You would have thought there would have been a little bit more heat on this, but there it is. Get it for ratio if you want it. It's right there. Just saying. I'm not buying it for ratio. I'd still shop it for cheaper personally, but you do what you want to do with your money. You see how many are out there. If you like it, go get it. If not, leave it. This is just for fun, right? Speaking of fun, this next group of books are probably not going to be easy to track down. But at the same time, you may find them in chunks because we've seen some of these sell somewhat recently. And we're going to go dip on over to Valiant. That's right. Valiant. Not old school Valiant, semi-recent Valiant. And I'm looking at Ninjak. Ninjak 23. This is when Matt Kint was writing the title. We got Master Dark there on the cover. I've always been a fan of Master Dark as a character. I don't know. It still brings me back. Like back in the day, the original Valiant run, I liked Archer and Armstrong, and I liked Shadow Man. And with Shadow Man, I really was cool. Like I thought Master Dark was cool. Something about the voodoo and the tattoos and the mysticism. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty cool villain. But still pretty striking for the covers these days. You got the Hawk. Not bad, right? This is a Ben Templesmith, by the way. And this is a 1 in 50. The gall to do a 1 in 50 on this book, January 2017, when the print run was only about 5,800. Under 6,000 copies total. And they were doing 1 in 50s, which, again, if the ratio works out, and if this is true, there's potentially only 117 of them. I'm not saying that's the case, and I'm not saying there's only 117 of them. I'm just saying if you do that math, that's what it would work out to. How many were actually printed? I don't know. We don't know. I don't know if anybody will ever know. But this is what this is what it would do if those numbers, were 1 for 1 and worked that way. Just giving you a sense of what the market, how many could be out there. That said, don't get me wrong. Let me say that there's a ton of these out there because, well, there aren't. In the census, we got 5. 3 9/8, a 9/8, 3 9/8, a 9/6, and a 9/4. That's it. We've also got no sales the last 3 months on this particular book, nor do we have any listed for sale right now. So maybe that number is a true number. Maybe there are only a little over 100 of these out there. I don't know. But let's keep rolling because we're not done. We're not done because there are more in this run to take a look at, including another Ben Templesmith for issue 24. Another pretty cool cover. Still is part of that same run. This is coming near the end of this Ninjak run. I don't know if this goes all the way to the very end or if there's an issue or two that trail, but we got a couple of more coming. As I said, another 1 in 50. Another Ben Templesmith the next month, August. Wait, that can't be right. I think that date's wrong. Anyway, I'm going to move on beyond that. Print run, down to about 5,768. Incentive dips to 115 as opposed to 117. Again, just estimated number. Don't know what's real, what's not. Just our best guess. 8 in the census for this one with 7 9/8 and a 9/2. I don't know. Nothing in between. 7 9/8 and 1 9/2. But we did have a sale. We had a sale. We had a sale back in March 26th. 3 bids, only $17.67. Had I been doing this series, again, I got a list of books, but I'm not tracking all of them at all times. I only look at the prices when I'm actually going to sit down and do these. I actually did these prices Monday night. I'm filming this Tuesday after work. So I only get this information like last minute. Had I known there was a copy out there at auction, a couple weeks ago, I might have bid on this for $17. I probably would have went up to $20. Taking a shot. That said, 1767, 3 bids. This one ended at. Listed for sale, we do got one. One of them 9/8s is out there, and they're looking for a healthy $500. It's again, if there's only 100 of them out there, it's not that crazy of a price. But at the same time, you got to be a pretty hardcore Valiant fan to want to pay $500 for a 1 in 50 incentive variant for Ninjak. But hey, that's what it is. That's what's out there. We got the one. Up next, no more Ben Templesmith on these, but I got another 1 in 50. We're sticking with Ninjak at issue 25, milestone issue 25. This, I'm sure you can guess the artist just by looking at it. She's got a pretty, distinctive style. This is a Jenny Frison cover. This is from March of 2017. Another 1 in 50, as I was saying. Print runs right around that same number at about 5,700. So we're still looking at about 115 potential on the incentive. CGC Census only has four of this Jenny Frison. 2 9/8s, a 9/6, and an 8/0. An 8/0. Oof. That's what's out there. Copy did sell. Same seller had one of these at auction, but this one had 8 bids that got this up to $81.55. I'd happen to look. The same seller was selling these, but this is a lot. This is not just the 1 in 50. This was, you get cover A, cover B, and then the 1 in 50. Kind of like what I was talking about on the watch list, like with some of the pre-orders. You can see sometimes sellers will sell like variant sets. So you get the A, the B, the C, whatever there's available. They got them in a lot for you. Sell them all together. That's what looked like happened here. But in this case, the A and the B are regular, and then the C is the 1 in 50, the only incentive. Why again 1 in 50, not a 1 in 25 or a 1 in 10? Would have seemed a lot more reasonable for a 6,000 print run book. But here we go. Ninjak 25, $81. They're probably above my price range. I like buying these cheap, especially at auction. I ain't bidding that high. But if I wanted it, I would have had to, because there are none out there right now. So no copies available at the moment. And I got one more for you. One more in this run of 1 in 25s on Ninjak. And this is a Tula Lotte cover. I'm going to pause here for a second because I dig this. I put this on the thumbnail because I like this image. It's just cool. Reminds me of Medusa with the hair kind of going all over the place. The red kind of pops. Even with the muted background, that red kind of really comes out at you. I like it. I don't know. Personally, I like it. I would be down to get this. Tula Lotte, April 2017. Another 1 in 50. The last 1 in 50 of this run. But I don't know if the run ended or if there's an issue or two after this. Again, not 100%, but as far as the 1 in 50s go, this was the last 1 in 50. Print run was a little over 5,800, so we got 117 again as far as our incentive goes. Again, potential. Ballpark number. CGC Census only has 5. 198, 196, a 90, an 85. What did I miss? And an 80. There we go. Yeah. So a lot of mid-grade kind of graded copies there out of this run, like the 8, 5, 90. I mean, I guess higher grade, but I mean, this is a modern variant. Nobody likes to buy it at that range, but they're out there. That's all that's out there. Once again, our seller had this out there a couple of weeks ago. These were at auction. This was another lot, ended March 26th. $122.50 for this one. 8 bids. What I found interesting about this one was that there were 2 copies of the 1 in 50 in this lot. There's only 117 potentially of these, but this was thrown up at auction together. Like, dude, we're just blowing this out. We're just throwing them in a pile. We're just blowing this book out. I only get $122. It's not bad. But it's basically the A cover, the B cover, and then the 2 incentive variants. So I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't break one of these 1 in 50s off to try to sell on its own. But there you go. That's what happened. That's how it played out. And if you wanted to go get one, because like I said, I was interested. I wanted to go shopping for one, but none. Another case where there's none out there. But what are you going to do, right? Valiant, I'm going to have to go digging. It's got to be one of those weird things you forget about, and then you got to remember at the right time and go, oh, are there any of these out there? And maybe get lucky and find something. But we're not done. I got one last book for you before we wrap it up tonight, and that is another Valiant book. This time we're heading on over to Punk Mambo, another character that, for the Valiant side of things at least, had some interest. People were buying and investing in. You got to get that Shadow Man, what is it, 13? or is it 11? That's one of those issues. That Shadow Man book for the first appearance. But here we go. Punk Mambo #1. This actually is a Dan Brereton, if I'm saying his name right, cover. A 1 in 100, though. A 1 in 100. Why such a high ratio on these books? April 2019 on this. We got a footnote, too. When I went to Comic-Con, there was a footnote on this. So I got an estimated print run of about 18,733 on this. And the footnote asterisk was telling me that items marked with asterisks had their reported orders reduced by 10% due to returnability. What does that mean? It means that shops could return unsold copies of this book. So they could have ordered up to 100 copies just to get the incentive, sold what they could sell, and then returned what didn't. So we can't rely on any of these numbers, is what I read from that. Ballpark. I don't know. I just wouldn't trust it. It just gets dicey. I mean, these numbers are estimates to begin with, but once you start factoring the play that shops that might be like, you know what, we're going to order like 7 of these, all of a sudden, hey, what the hell? We'll order 100 because we want to get the variants and make some money that way, and then we can always return what doesn't sell. I don't know. Seems like we can't trust this stuff, but I'm giving it to you anyway because this is what it would work out to be. So if that number were true, even though it's already noted to be tweaked by Comic-Con, incentive variant would then be at 187. Still, very small number when you think about it. In the census, doesn't seem like there's piles and piles of these. Like a lot of shops were saying, yeah, let's inflate our order so we can get our Punk Mambo 1 in 100s. But there are 19 with 1798s and 296s. Take that for what it's worth. One sold, and one sold recently. My comic shop had a raw copy of this 1 in 100, $10.50. $10 for this 1 in 100. So not a lot of interest, I guess, in this book for that kind of price. That said, I might think about buying that 1 in 100 for $10. I don't know if I love this cover. It's not bad. Too much white for my taste. A little off center. I would have liked maybe the trade dress pushed to the other side. Like, I don't know. Like reframing it. It just seems unbalanced just looking at it. Like it's a little too left heavy. I think we need a little bit more to the right, something in that dead space. Anyway, maybe if there was like some generic like black and white background instead of this stark white, maybe that would have been like newsprint. Maybe something like that could have made that kind of thing kind of pop a little bit. But whatever. $10 was what one sold for. And again, I wanted to see if there's any other copies like that out there, and there weren't. Not only are there not any $10 copies, there are no copies. So take that for what it's worth, too. None out there if you wanted to go shopping for one. So with that all said, what did we get this week? We go back and look at the numbers. We had piles of some of those Marvel books to look at. We had piles of them. So options will make those all hard to find. But while we had those 5 Valiants at the end, out of all 5 of those books, I think only one of them had a copy available, and that was that Ninjak 24 that had a 9.8 that was looking for $500. The other ones, no copies at all. So I feel comfortable this week calling all 5 of these Valiant, these 4 Ninjaks, and that 1 Punk Mambo ghosts for this week. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know if you got any of these books. If you do, tag me on Instagram, share them. I love seeing other people's collections. I love it. So don't, just feel free. Tag away. Send me a message. I love seeing comics. This is, like I said, I like this. This is my hobby. I love this stuff. I don't mind. You're not bothering me by sending me a message. I think comics are cool, and I'll talk to whoever about them. That said, thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I appreciate you all. I appreciate all the support. Going to keep going. Again, details coming soon on the giveaways. Make sure you check out the tax show tomorrow. We're still working out what we're going to do as far as the topic goes. Still going back and forth of what the main topic might be, but you'll still get your news. You'll still get some comic reviews. Got a little side section for you, and then we'll tier list something. So make sure you come back for that live show tomorrow. And with that all said, thanks again. I'll see you guys later with some more content. All right, bye.